Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is July the 8th, 2023, and today the topic is why so serious? Yes, y'all, why so serious? I was debating about playing the song that's in my head for y'all, but I'm using both of my devices. I would have to get a whole nother device, and then I might get copywritten, stricken, you know how all that stuff goes. So I decided against it. So sorry, no little ditty for y'all in the beginning intro of this. Um but I will be sharing some lyrics with you all of the song that came into my heart and mind once we get into this conversation. But yeah, y'all, why so serious? Why so serious? A really popular quote from that Joker movie, right? I'm sure we're all familiar with it. But my inspiration today, well, I'm sort of inspired by not the time I woke up, because I woke up on time. I actually woke up around 4, and then I listened to the prayer meditation, and next thing I know, I guess I closed my eyes, and it was 5:29 when I woke back up, and I was thinking that it was 4:29 until I guess my eyes adjusted, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I must have missed the 4:30 alarm. But anyway, I felt like that might be significant, so I looked that up. Um, and there was a few verses that were standing out to me, but the verse that stood out to me the most this morning was Matthew 5:29. And this is what it says. It says, "And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of thy whole body uh should be cast into hell." Um, yeah. Now I don't know if I wrote that wrong or whatever the case is, but we all should be familiar with this verse. Is obviously Jesus talking to the people, saying that it's better for you to pluck out your eye than to go to hell with your eye. And he gave several examples like that. He referenced cutting off your hand and all that type of stuff. And so that brings me back to my topic or title for today. Why so serious, Jesus? You know what I'm saying? Like, wait, so you saying that you want me to pluck my eye out, cut my hand off, cut my foot off, if that's causing me to sin? Why so serious? Well, I guess again that's the inspiration, and I did a deep dive. But I only got a little bit to share with y'all, to be honest. Like, honestly, if you need to go deeper about this, I implore you to check out the resources that I did, and everything like that. So I'm just going to pretty much share with you all what I feel led to share with you. And then I guess we'll just go from there, y'all. That's what the juice is going to be about today. But yeah, that's where the inspiration came from. Now, I think one of the things that ended up confirming it for me, because I mean, I kind of read the verse and then I kind of kept scrolling to see if there was another verse or whatever. But soon as I was getting ready to pass it, that's when the song that was on my heart and mind came in. And then I started doing a little deep dive on that, and then that was the confirmation. So now when when I read that verse, what came into my mind was rip it good, like that, right? And I said, okay. And so I started to look the song up by looking up Rip It, but apparently the song is not Rip It, y'all. The song actually says Whip It, okay? And it's about by a group called Devo, I believe, Devo. And the whole thing is quite interesting, like their whole reasonings for their, I guess their name, as well as the song, and all that stuff is very interesting to look up. So by all means, check that out if you need to or want to. But again, what confirmed it for me this morning was the lyrics, right? So I went to look at the lyrics for Whip It. And I was like, you know what? This coincides. And so, yeah, that was what confirmed me to go deeper about this concept of again, why so serious, right? Why did God, Jesus, right, request for us to be, rip our eye out if it causes us to sin, cut our hands off if it causes us to sin, cut our foot off if it causes us to sin, because it's better to go to heaven maimed than to go to hell uh, full body. And for a lot of reasons, I mean, again, when you hear about hell and everything like that, I mean, those with any understanding or whatever, you can see the seriousness of the situation. Obviously, it was serious enough for, again, Christ to die for us, for us to be able to avoid that place. Unfortunately, in this moment, I'm reminded of Brother Christopher Hitchens. May he rest in peace. I say questionably. And not that I have a heaven or hell to put him in or anything like that. I'm just saying based on his life, right? Based on the little bit that I've researched about him and whatnot. I mean, anyway. But anyway, I'm reminded of him in this moment because earlier this week, Thursday, I was, at church doing my thing, working at church and stuff. And I'm listening to some random little things as I'm working. And then all of a sudden, this debate between brother Frank Turek and Christopher Hutchins came back on. It just kind of popped on as I was listening to things. And I was like, man, I listened to the debate before. So I'm like, Lord, why you got me listening to this again? Like, because anytime I'm listening to it, I can't help but wonder, now that Christopher Hitchens is no longer with us, right? He knows, right, exactly what it is at this point. Because he's no longer alive, right? So he knows whether he was right or whether the Bible's right, right? And I'm listening to everything he's saying in his argument again. To be honest, like, I feel like Frank Turek did a great job. Not just to be biased to the Christian, but I felt like he addressed the issues and conversation. I felt like when it came to Christopher Hitchens, I guess he was very eloquent. He was very eloquent in his responses, and I guess had that little tinge of dry humor and things of that nature. But I feel like he didn't really answer questions. He came from an emotional point of view, but the ironic thing is, you would think like he was just saying all the great philosophies of the world, because the audience seemed to, they seem to be, I mean, I don't know. I guess if you judge applause or whatnot, you like, are they clapping more for this gentleman than for the other one, and things like that. And the thing is, as I was listening to him once again, right, and listening to his responses and everything like that, he really truly took issue with the God of the Bible. He took issue, yes, with religion in general, sure, but when it comes to Christianity specifically, right, he really took issue. Like, when you listen to him, right, he really took issue with the whole premise. He took issue with the idea that there could be human sacrifice, one for all, right? And things of that nature. And it's very interesting because I'm like, okay, so you have a problem with God coming down and sacrificing himself for all of us, right? You have a problem with that. But you don't have a problem with it. It's just very interesting, right? When you hear people's point of view. And then and there was an individual that at the end that asked an amazing question. He asked Christopher Hitchens, he's like, if you don't believe in God, right, and things like that, why are you spending your whole life to negate and debate and, pretty much, I guess, steer people away? Like, because Christopher said out of his own mouth, like, I hope that people are, listen to me basically and start to think like me. And that's the thing. It's just very interesting. Like, people that believe that way are so, I guess, interested and invested in getting other people to go along with them. Like, it'll be a totally different thing if you decide that you don't want to believe and you keep that to yourself, X, Y, and Z, right? You, like, in your heart, you don't want to believe, and you just go on about life, and you don't, cause nobody else to stumble and stuff like that. But it's a whole different thing when you become a stumbling block, right? When you set out to 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 draw more people into your idea, because then not only is your own blood on your hands, but now you got the blood of all the rest of the people on your hands. Now, I mean, people may not take it that seriously, right? Obviously they don't, but according to the Bible, now that's all I'm talking about. According to the Bible, it's like that's a serious thing. And so honestly, like I said, I do wonder every now and then when I think back on this gentleman. I'm like, I wonder what he's thinking now, right? Because he's gone, right? He's no longer with us. He's deceased. And he knows, again, like I said earlier, he knows whether he was right or whether the Bible's right at this point. And is he like that rich man that wants to send his brethren back? Wants to go back to warn his brothers, right, about the place that Jesus describes, right? Or is he perfectly fine with his location and everything like that? Because all on earth, he definitely made it known that he didn't want to be like he didn't value or want to be want there to be a God, right? And things of that nature. And so, but anyway, I guess I share all that to say as another example of, I guess, how serious it is. This, again, idea of heaven and hell, Jesus, all these things. It's like, why so serious is the question. But obviously, again, it is serious enough for Christ to say, hey, it's better for you to go to heaven maimed than to go to hell full bodied. And I went deeper, y'all, and I went to gotquestions.org and I read an article. It's called, "Did Jesus mean we should literally pluck out our eyes" in Matthew 5:29 and 30. And as I was reading that article, the one thing that stood out to me the most, I do want to share right now. And it says, we should be prepared to make exceptional sacrifices if we want to follow him or follow Jesus. I believe that was the overall point. Like, I don't think Christ was like, okay, yeah, y'all literally need to pluck your eyes out. But it does give you a sense of urgency when you hear that, right? You hear like, it's better for me to pluck my eye out than to live in sin. I don't know. Like, what, anybody, like, what do you receive when you hear that, right? Are you on guard? Like, are you thinking about it a little bit more seriously, or is it just something where you're like, whatever? I guess we all have our ways to break that down and figure that out and stuff. I mean, I'm sure we all have different perspectives about when we hear certain things, but obviously, again, it was serious to Christ enough to say that, hey, this is better for you to do than to go to hell. Like, plucking your eye out, cutting your hand off, cutting your foot off is better for you. I don't know. And I ended up just going deeper about all of this. So you guys can check out the Go Deeper section, y'all. Again, I'm not going to read all of this to you, because if you guys hear or feel any urgency about this, then you will go deeper and take this seriously. So the other article I read was called Do Unbelievers Immediately Go to Hell When They Die? And then also the account in Matthew 25:31 through 46. That's the Go Deeper section, y'all. And like I said, you guys can peruse those things and let them marinate on your hearts, souls, and minds. But before I get into the Bible verse of the day, let me go back to that song, Whip It, right? So I actually looked at the video this morning, y'all. And I mean, honestly, like, it wasn't like a serious video. Like, if you go, I mean, I know people are like, oh, it's the 80s. Oh, it was one of those things. It's quirky, blah, 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 blah. And it's all of that. That's cool. The video itself is not that serious. But again, when I'm reading the lyrics, right, I felt like it coincided with this conversation, maybe in some weird way. I don't know, but I'm going to share the lyrics that stood out to me when I was looking into the song Whip It, that ultimately led me confirmed it's for me to talk about this thing today. This is what it says in Whip It. Now, again, I heard the melody of Whip It when I read that verse that says about the plucking out of the eyes and whatnot. And I thought it was saying rip it until I looked up the lyrics. But here's what the lyrics are saying. It says, when a problem comes along, you must whip it. Before the cream sits out too long, you must whip it. When some things going wrong, you must whip it. Now whip it into shape. Shape it up, get it straight. Go forward, move ahead, try to detect it. It's not too late to whip it good. Now listen, I don't know if that spoke to you this morning. Y'all might think I'm crazy, whatever. Hey, I would think, like, if I could just imagine, and I'm not trying to add to the Bible or anything like that. What I'm saying is God can use anything to teach us something and things like that and speak to us, right? So like this verse here, it's not a verse, but like this lyric here is saying, like, before the cream sits out too long, you must whip it. Like, whip this thing into shape. This sin thing, we need to whip it, y'all. Like, that's what I'm getting when I'm hearing and seeing. When I heard the lyrics, heard the song this morning, as well when I'm reading these lyrics. Again, when this problem of sin comes along, you must whip it. Do I have to put sin in there for us to get my point of view? Let me go ahead and do it, because that's what I feel led to do. So when the problem of sin comes along, you must whip it, okay? Before the cream of sin sits too long, you must whip it. You must, okay, some things going wrong. Now that sounds like sin all day, but okay. And sin, when some things are going wrong, you must whip it. Now whip it into shape. Shape it up, get it straight. Go forward, move ahead, try to detect it. It's not too late to whip it good. Y'all listening, y'all can go deeper with all this. I hope you all are encouraged and inspired to take this conversation a little bit more serious. Let me share with you guys one more thing that I saw yesterday, and then I'm gonna let this go. All right. Not only those living in sin, right, should take this seriously and whip it, right? Whipping it to shape. Get it. How do I say? No, never mind. Whip it into shape. Let me leave it at that lyric. So here's something else. We need to take this seriously of making disciples and spreading the gospel as well, right? My husband shared with me a video on Instagram yesterday, and it was these two gentlemen, and one of the gentlemen was passing out tracts, and the other gentleman was like being like a decoy person, right? And so the first gentleman, like the decoy, right, he will walk past the man with the tract, right, and the guy with the tract would try to hand it to him, and when he didn't take it, like, he would walk like he wasn't gonna take it. And then the guy with the track kind of like would kick him, or whatever the case is, to be like, hey, take it. and then the man came back and took it, right? And so everybody that the man with the track tried to hand the track to after that, they would automatically take it, because they would think that the man would kick them too. And it was funny. Like, on one hand, when you read the comment section of that video, people, of course, are being like, oh, that's not the way you're supposed to do it. Oh, you're supposed to do it in love and blah, 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 blah. And I get all that. Just like they say about the hellfire message. Today, this might be a hellfire message, and people don't like that either. They don't think we should talk about hell, even though Jesus did. But anywho, going back to that scenario, right? When I saw the video, at first, again, without knowing the quote unquote context, and you first just see this guy walking by, and then you see the guy kick a guy, you're like, huh? But then when you see it's the same guy and you understand what's going on, like they're doing an act, and then he hands out tracts to other people, then you get it. You're like, oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting way, because it takes away this whole idea of being, scared to give them the track and all this different type of stuff. And they're getting the gospel, whether they know it or not, whether they hold on to it or throw it away or whatever they do. Once they get it, that's on them, but at least you did your part, right? And I just kind of joked with my husband when I wrote him back after that message. I was like, hey, by any means necessary, you know what I'm saying? And we might not think it's that serious, right? But it could be like, let me go another thing. And I didn't know I was going to share this too, but here's another thing. I guess that confirms what I just said. There's a gentleman, I've been telling y'all about him, I think, a young gentleman, his name is Mapalo or something like that. King Mapalo is his Instagram or something like that. Young dude, I don't know, he looked like he's in his teens, but anyway, basically he shared he shared a testimony about his grandfather. He said his grandfather was, out there mowing the grass one day, and somebody came over with the track and was like, hey, I want to invite you to church, and here's his information. He said his grandfather ripped it and ran over it with a lawnmower. But he said now it's at the point where now his grandfather is handing out tracts to everybody he knows. And that's the thing. You really don't know. Like your one move can make such an impact on someone, and it could be just, honestly, again, here I am, a living example as well. Like, obviously there's plenty of people on YouTube talking before me. And again, I would say one of the things that lit a fire under my belt in 2020 was back when Marcus Rogers was like, hey, if you build it in this season, God's going to bless it. And I'm crazy enough to be like, okay, let's see. And I put GSL out and stuff like that. And here we are today. And so you just never know, again, the impact you're going to have on somebody. And we need to take it as seriously as Jesus did. Right now, we may not have to do the, sacrifice on the cross, because he did that one for all. Right. So we don't got to do that part. But we can at least take it seriously enough to do whatever it is that the Lord is leading you to do. For me, it's getting up in the morning, sitting here talking to y'all and doing all of this called the juice, right? And doing this weekly talk show and whatever else the Lord wants me to do, right? You don't know what your gift can do, and you don't know what the impact it can have on someone. So this question of why it's so serious, there's a lot of reasons that this is serious. And now I too struggle with this, because I'm like, well, Lord, everybody got free will, everybody got access to this information, so how much you want me to do? Because I can't do I can't save the person. You did, you don't want to do that. I can't change their hearts and minds, but you can plant a seed, you can water the seed, you can do your part in the kingdom. And that's ultimately the juice this morning, y'all. Let's take this thing seriously. Whether you living in sin, take it seriously. And if you're not living in sin, then take it seriously to share with your brother. And that's the juice. The Bible verse of today is Hebrews 13:8. It says, Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever. Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration and juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all on Monday, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye. There you go. Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, anybody listening to the sound of my voice, I hope that you all are encouraged and inspired to whip it good. But yeah, man, I'm excited for today, man. Look, I got a little interview. I got to go to a studio and do this interview. So that's cool. I'm also looking forward to hanging out with my home girl, Miss Summer, and celebrating her birthday and whatnot as well. I hope that, again, you all are encouraged and inspired by what the Lord has shared with me today in regards to why it's so serious. And then even with them lyrics of whipping and all of that, like, I hope that's encouraging and inspiring to you all. Yeah, man, it's all jokes aside, it is very serious out here. We see every day people just perishing, right? They're taking their own life. They're taking the lives of others. They're doing things that is just, you wouldn't imagine to think that things would be done, but it is being done all around us, and it's being done on camera. So we got all kinds of evidence and proof of how crazy the world is and can be and stuff like that. And just, if you care at all, right, then you would share. You would need to take, you would take this thing seriously. If you claim to be a believer and you're not sharing with your neighbor X, Y, and Z, then maybe your belief is a little bit questionable. Not just to me, but I'm just saying according to the Bible. And like I said, I struggle because I got friends or whatever that, you don't want to offend nobody, right? You don't want to be canceled, all that kind of stuff. But on the flip side, I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, I just know how it has been a life-changing experience for me. And obviously there was people that poured it to me, or, people that before me that did whatever they needed to do to grow in their faith, to ultimately help me grow in my faith. And then hopefully I'm doing that with the next person. And that's the thing. I mean, you can't take full ownership of someone, right? Or anything like that. You can't sit here and be like, take on someone's sin and take on someone's journey and things like that. But you can do your part. That's all I'm saying. Just do your part. You know, and like I said, I've been struggling with that as well. Cause I mean, you know, I came across, for example, a sermon. I don't know if I'll say it a sermon, but it was a video that, you know, a word. And I'm like, well, should I send this? Should I not send this? You know what I mean? Like this might fit somebody's situation, but, and sometimes I'll just go ahead and send stuff, you know, but then other times I'll be, you know, questioning, should I do it? And that, I mean, that probably is supposed to be confirmation actually. If you're questioning, should you do it? You probably should, depending on what it is. But, so you know what I'm saying? I'm not sitting here acting like I'm perfect is what I'm saying. I share all this to say that I'm not perfect at this thing. You know, am I doing the best job of making disciples and sharing the gospel? Well, who knows? Probably not. I mean, you know, I am an imperfect human, right? But I want to at least try to do my part. And I mean, I guess that's what this is all about, man. But thank you all so much for listening, watching, subscribing, and sharing all those wonderful things. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend. And I look forward to talking to you all on Monday, if the Lord's will. Bye.